Hello. So, good evening, people. We are trying to connect after a long time, and this is we were playing Tambola online on YouTube, and unfortunately, I messed up with my second screen, so I couldn't uh, stream or play Tambola again. So now we are back on this. So the today's session is on the basics of photography. So if someone is not comfortable with the speed I'm going, please do let me know. I see 6 people watching. We'll just start when it goes like 10. Okay, this is my new setup. In fact, I used to stream on my 60D. This used to be my streaming camera. Let me check all my controls are working or not. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. This used to be my streaming camera. So yeah, this one you can see. So but now, as I wanted to show this one today to you guys, I am using my mobile phone as my streaming camera. So my mobile phone is acting as a streaming camera today, and then I'll show you how to use this, and we will discuss the basics, basically, not really much. Uh-huh. Okay, yeah, that's the one. May I know who have joined the chart? Would you mind just typing in your name so that it would be easy for me, like who have joined? Meanwhile, I'll just try to close this window, which is casting shadows here. Oh, hi, bro. This is Pawan. Hi, Pawan. I see 10 people watching. That includes actually me because I also have to see. Hope there is no lag in my video. And then here we go. Okay. So my WhatsApp is also active on my desktop. So today's session, I got another one. Better I'll switch to this one. Hi, bro. Hi, Santosh. Vanakkam. So the chart is also popping up on the screen for my sake. Okay, thing is like This is for the people mainly for who have bought a costly DSLR, might have spent your 2 to 3 months of salary, and you thinking that you have bought a very nice camera and you will click nice pics. So, and the pics turn out to be not really good. It happens with everyone. I am not a professional photographer, I am a hobbyist, and my genre in photography is night. So I do take night photos, like the skies and stars. You will see something like this. I usually take time lapses, so something like this is what I usually take. So I'm a specialist into that. I have taken few good pictures. So now this is for someone who wanted to understand how a camera works, why something some pictures you take and they are not really good at. End of this, I will also give you a link to a site where you can actually practice how to take good pictures even without having an SLR, even without having a camera. So what we do now, I think so, yeah. Okay, anyway, I'm really not bothered about the number of people who are watching this. I see 6 people as of now. So anyway, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I'll come up with more interesting videos on this. And I feel like I galaxy, and you see a bright star. Even you just go this late evening, once we are done with this session today, you just go and see in the sky towards east, little bit right to the east, so you will see a bright star. That is nothing but Jupiter. That is not actually a star, but whatever the bright, and then the sky, you see the brightest object in the sky tonight is Jupiter. So what we'll do, like, I mean, as I am telling, like, whether you are having a portable small camera or a pocket camera, digital camera, a bridge, or a digital SLR, so whatever it is. Oh, 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 no. Something went wrong. What has happened? I don't know. My second screen is off. I don't know why. So my second screen is off. So that's the reason you see everything on my, yeah, you will see everything on my screen. So this is what the problem, like when you do not have a direct second screen, right? You will be facing problems like this. Happens, it's okay, that's absolutely fine, because I'm just checking the other controls and all on the other screen so that you can see my screen easily, so without any disturbance. Yeah. So just give me a minute, guys. Yeah, hello Sheikh Ali. Hi CBK. Yes, oh, I remember my name. Yeah, my plus two friends used to call me CBK. Nagabhushanam Kotaguri. Good evening, Sarji. Yes, so we are talking about this. Whatever the camera you've got, whether it is a phone, whether it is a pocket camera, whether it is a bridge, whether it is an SLR, something like this. I'll just show you my SLR. This is a 60D. This got released in 2012, and it is a pretty old camera. I bought it then. It's almost like 8 years I bought this. This has it's a very good companion. I have enjoyed a company of this. So we will talk about this later. And I also borrowed another camera from my friend. This is an equivalent to 1100 1200D EOS Rebel T6. So we will be exploring this. Not just that, you can take any mobile camera also. The principle is same. Now let's get into the details. I have simply downloaded a presentation. I don't feel saying this. I have just simply downloaded a presentation, and this is how my control looks like. This is all clumsy. So just because the other monitor is off, I just it all came on my main camera, which you are seeing now. Okay, so this is absolutely fine. As I said, like, if someone is not comfortable, hi Bharat, eagerly waiting for the knowledge. Thank you, Venu, and Peri Dido Traveler. Hi. So anyway, so yeah, let's get back to this. Let me close this picture. And as I said, like, I have downloaded few. I haven't made any presentations on my own because I don't think I really find time, and I don't really feel like reinventing the wheel as if I have made something on my own. I don't have to make something on my own. I always can borrow the knowledge from the elders which have made. And I feel I have downloaded few from the um, Animal Planet, like that. And I found the simple one for today. I think is this the one? Yeah, this is the one. Yeah. So, oh, it's at the end. So, introduction to photography. We will tips and techniques for better photography. We are not going. I'm not going to give you any tips and techniques, but I'll what I am bothered is, like, I'll tell you about how a camera works. It is then how to use it. It is just like you know how your you know how to drive your car. Like, you have to open the door, you have to put the key, you have to start the engine, uh, press the clutch and shift the gears, then you go. The camera is also just like that. It's very simple. Once you understand how camera works, handling camera is very, very, very simple. I will also show pictures I have taken in this during this session. So that's the reason I am not streaming from my DSLR. Otherwise, I usually stream my video from the DSLR. So I have taken this. I will connect it to my computer and I'll show you how the pics are taken. And end of the session, as I said, I will give you a link from Canon Canada, where you can actually practice to take photos. So again, talking about the photography, let's get into this. I believe photography is nothing but the you want to tell a story. You just wanted to tell a story, and you tell it in the name of a picture. Hello, Tarun. I can give a short intro to astrophotography. Yes, Tarun. Thank you so much. We'll take it in the next session, as we've been doing the sessions in the COVID-19. Yes, we can share the knowledge. That is always good. So, and especially if people who already know how the camera works, how things works, this is not for them. This is for the people who bought a camera and are taking pictures, and they turn out. I mean, camera like this, a heavy camera or a very good phone, pocket camera, and the pictures are not turning good. This session is for them. And yeah, it is as simple as that. I said, like, I came across a quotation today: photography is the story I failed to put in words. So photo is all about a story. The photographer is trying to tell the story, what is happening in the scene. That is all about. You are seeing something, you want to tell. So when you are seeing something with your eyes and you feel it, and your feelings, you have to say. It's not like someone else seeing in the other way. So photography is all about, you're seeing something and you're trying to tell that. If you're failing to tell it in words, you tell it in a picture. So something that means you should have control on it, what it is. It's not like someone else taking a picture. You should not let your camera take a photo on its own. I can simply say that if you put your camera on automatic mode, this is what you see: automatic mode in green color, and you take a picture. Actually, you're just taking care of the frame, but you're actually not gaining the control over how you are seeing it. This usually happens when I wanted to take a picture of a sky. I see wonderful vibrant colors. When I take out my camera, it does some fuzzy calculations, applies all the algorithms. It gives some picture where I don't find the colors. What I was seeing, a vibrant magenta, a very um, peace giving sea green. So something, those colors are missing. Why those colors are missing? Because your camera is trying to calculate overall light and trying to take a picture on its own. It is applying its own algorithms. Now you have to take control of your camera. You have to put your camera in manual mode. If the people are here, you have to put the camera in manual mode. I'll tell you how you can take photos once you put in camera mode. Meanwhile, what I'll do, I'll just try to remove the chart on top of it, because I am reading the chart, so chart is really not required here. Just give me a minute. Yes. So chat is removed now. So guys, it is. I'll go through the basics. This is what we are looking at the presentation. I'm not really bothered with presentation. I just kept a presentation for the sake of reference so that I do not miss. So as I said, like photography is not just you pay someone or you bought a camera. It is both art and science. So art is like how artistically you're seeing it, how what you're seeing and what you're portraying it. Just like you're making a painting, you're seeing a scenery like hills. We used to draw this painting in childhood. There are two hills and the sun is rising and the water is flowing. We make a small river and we paint it. You're a photographer, and the science behind, if you understand the science and technique behind it, and you control the camera, then you will try to put it as it you wanted, as not what camera gives it. So that is what I just wanted to mention here. With that, I'll just go. So some technical information, it was invented some long time ago, 1800s, some almost like 180 years ago, whatever. We are not real 200, almost 200 years ago, not really bothered. So how this photography has happened? So if we go back to the school days, we would have read about film cameras. If we understand the concept of film, you can handle almost any camera. So just let's take it back to the school days of painting. You are seeing something somewhere, there is a hill, sun is rising and water is flowing. You are seeing things as because light is falling on them, and light is being reflected, and your eye is capturing it and sending the information to your brain, and you are registering it. That is what the camera does. But how much is the light, how much light is entering your eyes, this is all gives you, whether it is a dark scene, whether it is a bright scene, however it is, our eye adjusts everything. If it is, if you just go to your bedroom, there's a small light, you still feel it dark, but after some time you just open your eyes, you feel it as bright because your eye is trying to adjust to the settings. So like that, even if it is a dark scene, if you learn how to adjust the settings in your camera, you will take better pictures. So photography, I feel there are two things you have to really take care about. One, you have to focus. I mean, like, which there are multiple objects here. You want to focus me, you want to focus the mic, you want to focus the laptop, which is you're seeing it. Just give me a minute. Yeah. uh, the skies are clear today. If you want to see Neo Voice Comet, yeah, Neo Voice Comet, yeah, absolutely. So thanks Tarun for the update. Even there are friends of mine who are into photography who are really crazy about this Neo Voice Comet. What is happening? So yeah, we're talking about exposure. Like, two things you have to take care. What is the exposure and focus? These are the two things. If you can master these two things, you can take care of everything. So there is light is falling on an object, and your eye is seeing. Just like that, your camera also sees. Simple thing is, like, now the real session begins, guys. So someone is interested, please take out your cameras and listen to me. As we studied, it's all based on the film camera. How the film cameras were designed. There's a film, light is falling, the light is not the sunlight directly, the reflection of the object. Like, assume that my camera is here, I'm looking at the camera, and some light, external light, the tube light, the sunlight, any light is falling on this, and it is being reflected. So the reflection is falling on the film. Now what happens in physics? Let's go to simple physics. When light is falling on the camera, few electrons fly off. So whenever there is a high intensity, more electrons fly off, less intensity, less electrons fly off. Now we go to the lab, we develop it, now we try to print it. It is directly proportional. Where where there are less number of electrons, you will see lot of whiteness. Where there are more number of electrons, you will see lot of darkness. It is simple, just brightness and darkness. Exposure is all about only two things. So if you properly expose it, then you will see a proper picture. Otherwise you will have a dark picture, you will have a burnout picture is what we call it. It's like all white, you don't see anything. So so the best thing, you still do not understand anything, never use the automatic mode in your camera. Always use something called a no flash auto. There is a no flash auto very next to the green button. So the green mode, you can use that. Most of the cameras have got it. Even you are using a mobile phone, do not use your flash unless it is really required. Mobile phones are not meant to use the flash. Even the SLRs are not meant to use flash. So you can take a picture even without using a flash because it is external. So now we have all the natural resources of light. Now with the use of light, all we have to do is like capture the picture. Forget about stops, really not required. Film speed. So film speed is something. So now the light is falling. How quick I can act, what how sensitive the film is. If the film is quite sensitive, the more electrons will fly away for the same intensity of light. So here we have to understand both pros and cons of it. As now we have started this, what I'll do, I'll just open another picture. We will talk about this the whole day. Okay, we will be only talking about this today. So it's all, you have to understand three things. So only understand three things tonight. So it's all about ISO, shutter speed and aperture. It is a triangle, like the management folks we talk about. For any project we always talk about three constraints. So apart from these three constraints, there are few other constraints, yeah, but as of now these are the three constraints we have. Now we are talking about ISO. So now we are taking a picture. Two things, as I said, you have to divide it into two. One is exposure and the other one is focus. So you should be able to focus it. Usually most of your mobile phones and are infinite focus, and other phones you can absolutely use it, the cameras and all. The best thing with the SLRs is you have got a you can adjust the focus manually. You can see this is a manual focus ring, you can adjust it manually. Your camera will also help you. If you put it on AF mode, your camera will also help you to focus it. So how it does, it can does face detection, it can do contrast detection. However it is, it will apply its own algorithms. We are not going to detail into it as a technical thing. Now what I will say, so now your camera can take care, most of your cameras can take care the focusing part. If you're still failing in the focusing part, there are few situations like you wanted to focus something else, but something else is being focused using an automatic focus system. I suggest you to move to your manual mode and try to use the focus ring so that you can focus it properly. So now the focus part is done. Now we talk about the exposure part. We can divide it into three terms. If you understand these three, you can take any picture. It is so simple. Now 23 minutes is over after we started streaming. It's all just to say hi about photography. Now we are getting into the detail. Now I'm talking about the film camera. So how sensitive the film is. If someone here 2000 kids, you might remember while taking the pictures, we used to buy 200 speed, 400 speed, 600 speed films. That means how speed the film is. I mean, the speed is nothing but the sensitivity of the film. How sensitive the film is, it gives more, it takes more exposure. So that is what we are talking here is ISO. So ISO usually on the SLR cameras or the phone starts from 100 and 100 200. These are the steps. There are multiple steps in it. You consider 100 being the less sensitive and 6400 being the highly sensitive. So what happens with the less sensitive, when we have to use it, when there is bright enough light, sunlight, we have to use the less sensitivity. When there is light is very less, I can say literally the candle light, you have to go for the high ISO. So now we are able to do this less ISO and high ISO. So what are the pros and cons? I'll tell you here. So if the ISO is less, the picture quality is good. If the ISO is more, the picture quality will get deteriorated. But We have to adjust these three constraints, get the better picture. Now we are done with the sensitivity of the film. Then we talk about shutter speed. Shutter speed is nothing but how long you're exposing the film or how long you're exposing the sensor. So if assume that if I am getting let's measure light in kilos. If I am for the same setting of ISO, I'm keeping ISO of 400. Okay, so assume that it is an evening time, so I am keeping it 400 rather than keeping 100. I usually keep it at mid noon. But assume that I am doing this at in the evening, we what we call a golden light or whatever. So at that time I kept my ISO 400. What if now I have to control my shutter speed? What is the shutter speed? How long I am exposing? Assume that at an ISO of 400, my the amount of light falling on my sensor is 1 kilo per second. What will happen if I let the sensor open for 10 seconds? So 10 into 1 kilo, it is 10 kilos. That means more amount of light will come. Just like that, usually shutter speeds are denoted inversely. That is like 1 divided by. So you have to think that, okay, if it 1 being really 1 second, and if it reads 250, that means the shutter is open 1 by 250th of a time. If you read 1 by 60, that means it is 160th of a time. I will show my camera. I'll bring my camera here on the screen and I'll show you how things works. So the same thing will be on your manual camera as well. For the people who are using the mobile phones, if you want to really get the control over your phone, the phones are really good these days. They have the best processor, they have the best sensors. But thing is, like, you might think my phone is really doing good, but why not my SLR? Yes, your SLR is capable of doing good, but it needs more of manual intervention rather than letting it take an automated picture. Because these SLRs are not meant to be taken on its own. The phones are meant to be taken on its own, because we just take the phone out and we take a picture. That's it. But if you see, compare, you might you may buy a 120,000 1,20,000 rupees iPhone camera. But what is the size of the sensor? Tiny, very small, very small. But coming to the SLR cameras, that sensor anyway starts from 2 centimeters to 3.5 centimeters. That is what we call a full frame. Okay, so we get the better quality, but it needs manual intervention. Now we'll just let go into the shutter speed. That is what you understand. So you see under shutter speed, you will see a number that is nothing but inversely proportional. That means if it reads 60, that means you are letting the shutter open, or letting your sensor open for the light to fall for 1 by 60th of a second, 1/60th of a second. So assume that in the evening, the sunlight is less. I'm keeping the ISO 400. If I keep 1/60th of a second shutter speed, I take a picture. If it turns dark, what you will do, you either increase ISO or decrease shutter speed. Then you'll get a better picture. Now we talk about what are the pros and cons of a shutter speed. So the pro is like how long you expose the shutter, you will get more light. But if you are exposing the shutter for a longer time, if the shake in the camera or the person is moving, then you will have the blur in your picture, though you have focused it properly. Assume that there is a bird flying. If you want to capture it, you need a very less amount of shutter speed. That means you have to go somewhere like 1,000th of a second, 1/600th of a second you have to go. That is what a shutter speed. Now we talk about aperture. You will easily understand ISO and shutter speed. That is very much easy, but usually people get confused with the aperture. So what happens with an aperture? Aperture is nothing but, assume that you are opening the tap at home, you're filling the bucket. So if the size of the tap is more and the amount of water in the tank is same, but you will fill the bucket quick. It is just like that. You have a wide aperture, you will have more light. You have a wide aperture, assume, and aperture is also written in inversely, but you will read it as it is, not like shutter speed. So if something is written 2.8, then your aperture is open 2.8, and f4 is a smaller hole. F4 is smaller, f5.6 is even smaller. That means you are reducing the size of the pipe that where the water is coming in. So that means you automatically get less flow. Photography is all about exposure. If you are allowing less light, that means your picture will turn dark, isn't it? So if you are allowing more light, your picture will be bright. It is as simple as that. So for an ideal condition, for an evening scene, let me take a picture telling you the settings. So I am here, I'll take a picture of my other screen. So my settings are set, I'll say ISO 400 for evening scene, and F number I'm just keeping it 4, and ISO is 400. Let me take a picture. I have just taken a picture. I haven't done focus or anything. So now I am yeah, I have done a focus. I've taken a picture. So if you look at the picture, the screen is bright, so it is lit. So if I reduce any other settings, it will turn dark. So whenever, depends upon the situation, you have to you can change all these three things, and you can totally gain control your camera. But forget about why I want to run behind all these settings. Now you have to create a great composition. If you increase your ISO, noise will come. If you decrease your ISO, it will be less bright in scene. If you increase your shutter speed, the motion, you will have the motion blur. If you decrease the shutter speed, less exposure. If you increase the aperture, more light will come. But what is the con? The depth of field will get decreased. I'll talk about this depth of field in detail, then you will understand. If you want to, if you have 10 people in the picture, you want to focus all the 10 people, it is not possible. If you increase the aperture, you have to decrease the aperture, then automatically the brightness is less. That means you have to depend on the other two components, ISO and shutter speed. So people ask me often, bro, you have taken a picture, what is the setting? I say there is no setting. Every time it's new, there is no fixed setting. I am not a wedding photographer. Wedding photographers can have a fixed setting because they put two lights, the umbrellas, they have a 1000-watt halogen lamp. They know how fixed the light is. They know their lens. It is an 18 mm wide mode. They know how much light is coming. They can have the fixed settings like ISO 200, shutter speed 1/200th of a second, and f11, because they want to capture everyone. So I'm not a wedding photographer. You're not a wedding photographer. We do not have the lights. We have to depend on the natural light. So we have to really make a good composition of these three. It is nothing but cooking. While cooking, we put salt, we put tamarind, we put water, we put other ingredients. So our mom make sure that all the ingredients are put correctly. What if you give the same job to a robot? Your robot never knows. Even after eating, it cannot. It will prepare the sambar for you, but the sambar is incomplete. It doesn't know the right amount of the salt and tamarind and water for that sambar. It is just like that. That is, you should decide what is the right amount of ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. Take 2-3 wrong pictures, you will understand. And one good thing with the SLR cameras, you have something called exposure meter. Your exposure meter will help you to understand. As I said, like by end of this photography, I told you, like, I'll give you something. This is what I'm gonna give you. I'll give you this link where you can actually play. So here is a small website from Ken. There is a small flight where the wing is rotating. You can control the aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. I'll share this link with you in the chat right away. But don't do anything now. Don't just go away. So you control these things. So here you see uh, exposure meter. This is what you will see on your camera. So -3 to +3. So is this a good exposure? Really not, because it is being overexposed. So overexposed, so either I increase the aperture, you see it has come to 0, or I just keep the aperture, or I increase the shutter speed. Now it has come down to 0. So I just keep it, or I can still reduce the uh, ISO. So you see here, it is as simple as that. Digital ISO is all about digital noise. You see here, there is a women, and the background is really clean. But if you're coming on the side, this side, the digital noise, you see some noise is being shown here. So it might not be clear. Let me just increase this for you. You can see it now. You can see it now. So there is a digital noise. We are inviting digital noise. So we do not have, we do not need a digital noise. So we are inviting it. So how less the ISO is, that less noise you will get. How less the ISO is, the less light you will get. It is as simple as that. So it is the same with the other components as well. If I, the moment I click on that, so if I click on the shutter speed, you will see motion blur will come. If I click on the aperture, you will see depth of field will change. So what is visible, what is not visible. Let's take a good picture. Let's take a picture. So it has taken a picture, but if you see in this picture, the wings of the wings, in the fan in front of the flight is not visible. It is not visible. So now the exposure is good, we have taken a good picture, but the fan is not visible. This is what happens. And even you want to capture that, what we can do to capture that moment, I can go increase my shutter speed to, I have increased it to 1000. That means it will click 1,000th of a second. But see, my exposure meter is nowhere near. What I can do, I'll just increase my aperture. But even after increasing aperture, it is still in the minus side. If you see, it is on -1. So what I'll do, I'll increase my ISO a bit. Now it is a good exposure. Let's take a pic again. Now you see the fan is visible, but still it is little blurry. The exposure is good, the picture has come out good, but I want to freeze the moment. I want to take the bird that is flying. What I'll do now, I will increase the I'll increase the shutter speed. That means it is taking 1/4000th of a second. That means I have gone straight away 4 times less. Now what I have to do, I have to increase my ISO. So I have kept a 6400 ISO that will invite a lot of noise, and let's take a picture. Now you can see the fan is clear. Now the fan is pretty much clear. If we go to the previous picture, the fan was little blurry, and if you go to the previous one, the fan was not even visible at all. It's kind of totally gone, totally gone. But if you look at this, the pencils in front of a shallow depth of field we are inviting, because of we have taken it to the least aperture. So that's it. So it's all about the composition. You can I have just given this, you can go play with this. After this, and you can see everything here, and after this you can also play the challenge. You will understand better about it. These are the 3 things you have to really look into it. Then you really don't have to get into bracketing or any other very technical stuff about the DSLR cameras. The same rules applicable for the mobile photography as well. And if you really want to shoot tonight stars, you have to keep your mobile on a tripod, your camera on a tripod, because you have to expose it little longer. And then we will talk detail into it in the next sessions, like what is 500 law, what is 300 law. It's all different. Now we can talk about little more about the lenses. Usually our SLRs comes with a detachable lens. So Canon, Nikon or all, you can just click on this and you can remove this. This is a 50 mm, we call it nifty 50. This is a 50 mm fixed focus lens. That means there is no zoom, only you can only move the focus ring. And I have few other lens. I have my travel lens. This is my travel lens where I use it for my traveling. This is 18200. It is only EFS lens. That means it comes on only crop sensor Canon lens only. So now this can be extended. This usually comes with a little lock here. You can zoom it. You can zoom it till this, and you can take pictures. So I'll explain it, what is 18, what is 200, what is 50 mm little later. But see, if you look at this lens, you have got the lowest aperture you can go. I mean, that means the maximum aperture you can go in this lens is 3.5. So you cannot go more than that, and you can go up to 22. And with this lens, these are the, as I said, like usually mostly this kind of lens comes with a better aperture. With this you can go up to 1.8 aperture. So with you play on the thing I have given it here, you will understand what is aperture. You will get a better understanding. Until unless you do not practice, you will not get a better picture. I am telling you, the first 1000 pictures I have taken when I bought my camera in 2012 13 maybe 7 years ago, I was taking, I mean, even before that I was using another camera, but with this DSLR, handling it the things manually, and I have taken really pictures, they're shit. Taking the pictures of a crow, road, something I don't even feel like that is you should feel it's a painting, right? It's just like your kid is doing a painting. A kid is really doing a painting. So if you're letting your kid improve his painting techniques, his painting creativity will be directly proportional. It will I mean, he will show his creativity. Until unless you're not improving the techniques, you have a wonderful camera, you have a wonderful scene in front of you, and you don't know the technique to shoot it, I am not sure like whether you'll get a good picture or not. Your camera is not a good judge. Yeah, they have made very sophisticated system and algorithms, but your camera is not a good judge. You are a good judge. Take 1-2 pictures, go see what is happening, and then you'll understand whether it is a good picture or a bad picture. So for the pictures we usually take, as I said, like I take few of the picture for the night scene and all. These are the night scenes I have taken somewhere 3-4 years in Himachal. This is somewhere around 2 a.m. in the morning. If you look at the picture, where did I really get the light 2 a.m. in the morning? Because I have gone the highest ISO on my camera. That is even taking the very minimal light from the stars. In fact, not even moon. If we talk on the technical sides, it is, the moon is 1/10,000th time of a sunlight. Really, the moon reflection. And forget about the stars. They're not even compared to your candle when it comes to the intensity of light that is reaching Earth. So this is shot at 2 a.m. and you can see Milky Way in this picture. This is not the original picture. This is a screenshot I have taken from the video I made, a time lapse. So taking pictures is really easy, as I said. Now I will what I'll do, I'll give you a real demo of taking pictures. Just give me a minute, guys. I will let me connect my camera. To this. So usually you don't have to connect your camera, but I'm just showing you so that you can see the practical things of it. So I've switched it on. So you see some EOS utility, and I can go remote shooting. And I always take pictures on the manual mode. You can see the same reflection is here. Whatever I'm showing in the camera, you will get the same on the screen. No, I'm not really bothered about this presentation techniques and all. I'll just quickly go through this. If we talk about the aperture, f-stop, this is all we have discussed about this. I just kept this as a reference, so really don't have to bother about this. Is all about lighting, direction, and all. We can get detail into it once we try to understand. So these are all about auto white balance, bracketing. These are the little technical things, but as of now, let's concentrate on these three things, these three basic compositions. Then you'll understand. Now you see, this is the camera. This is how you see this. I have put that in manual mode. My ISO is 320th of a second, and my aperture is 4, and ISO is 400. I'll take you to the live view. So currently I'm pointing out my what should I say? So there's nothing is happening. So what should we do? So we have to change our settings. So this is quite dark, quite dark. So what I'll do, I just go increase my ISO. See, it is dramatically slowly it is increasing. I went like 3200, and now I will go to my shutter speed. I'll decrease the shutter speed. See, you can see the bright skin. Now I am able to focus it. Now you can see I'm focusing it. You can see this. Let me stand up for you. So I'm focusing it. This is my focusing thing. I can let my camera focus it for me, and sometimes it may not be that easy. So what I'm doing, I'm just taking control over it. Now you can see the keyboard. Keyboard is pretty much clear. So now what we can do, I should switch to a small lens. That would be easy. So I see you can see the shallow depth of field. Not if I am focusing it, only H is in focus. If I change it, only 6 is in focus. Like that, you can change that. So vice versa. So the shift button is in focus. Now rest all are not in focus because I'm using lots and lots of aperture. So if I just see, you can see the focus being shifted. Assume that the center is what I'm taking care of K and L. Now this is the picture. If I just click it, now it has taken a picture. So this is a picture, you can see, with the right exposure and right focus. Now I wanted my K and L to be in focus. You can look at the shift key. It is blur. It is called depth of field. Now if someone is asking, I want that depth of field is, I want the whole keyboard to be captured. I don't want something to be missed. Now what I can do, I can increase my aperture. I'm going 5.6. With that increasing aperture, the the exposure is less. Now I just go increase my ISO as well, and maybe I have to little bit of shutter speed also I have to decrease. Yeah, it's clean now. So now if I take the picture, now again K and L in the, okay, I have to take it manually. Now we have taken it to 5.6. Now you look at, it's most of the picture is visible. So this is how you have to take care of these three buttons usually initially. It's being capturing in raw mode. These are all different. You don't really have to bother about that. So that's my how I let me just switch it off and switch it on my wide angle lens. You will see it clearly. So that's it for the day. If you have any doubts, I mean, that's it for the technical information. We can still do little practice. As I said, I have already given you the link to that. Even you don't have an SLR camera, you can practice that on that site. Now I have put my travel lens, which is an 18-200 lens. We call this as a hood. We call this as a hood. Hood will help you reduce the infringement, unnecessary light falling onto your lens, and it creates infringes in it. So lens flare is what we call sometimes. Lens flare also will be you can avoid lens flare with this. So this being an 18 we have just seen that how big, I mean, from the same place I'm trying to take a picture, and with the 50 lens it was quite zoomed off. So with this, the minimum itself is I cannot go beyond 3.5. 3.5 is the maximum aperture capacity of this lens. That means that is a maximum wide it can go. So now I'll just take a live view. Now you can see my entire setup. So this is my setup. So it's a see, the keyboards are lit well, but the screens are bright, really bright. Now what I can do, I can play with any of these three. So as I went for 6300, I can just come down the ISO. Now you can see the screens are clear. For an 800 ISO, the screen is really clear, and the focus, it's gone. Now we can set the focus here. The focus is in good. So apart from that, I also have installed different OS on my camera. Apart from the Canon OS, I have installed some other OS on my camera, so it works little differently. But whatever you're saying, this is a standard Canon or any Nikon, any camera will work the same way. So, and I'll just show you, this is how it is zooming. Once you zoom it, you have to you can still focus it again. See, you have the better control. If you're letting your camera focus it, it struggle, and it may not know which one to focus. It will be little fuzzy. Yeah, sometimes it is really better than the human, but at times when you can actually control over it. It is just like you're taking your dog for a walk, and let the dog go on its own, or you take the leash and let the dog follow you. Though the dog is going ahead of you, but it will tell you the way. It will take the way which you want to go, not you don't just simply follow your dog. It is just like that. It is any case. So camera handling an SLR in automatic mode is just like following the dog blindly. So if you want to take control over the camera, you have to use the manual mode. As I said, like I can increase the ISO, I can increase the aperture. So these are the three things. As I said, we can go back to this. The same triangle is what you have to remember. The same triangle you have to remember. So if you remember this triangle and cook the right composition, it tastes better. You just have to make sure, take a picture, let it go wrong, understand what went wrong, try to analyze it, then you will get, oh my goodness. So I'm switching off my camera, no worries. So I'm just keeping it aside. So again, everything, it has got genres. Like not everyone can cook biryani, not everyone can cook the South Indian food. Just like that, everyone can have their own genre. My genre is a bit different. My genre is different, and everyone has got their own genre. So here is another example where you can see, like, I mean, what happens if you increase the aperture, what happens if you increase the ISO, what happens if you increase the shutter speed. It's a very good example of the shutter speed, the composition. So you choose the right composition, what is required for you. And people have asked me one question like, I want to blur the background. My phone is really doing good if I put it in a portrait mode and apply some logics. No, for you to take that shallow of depth photos, we call it a shallow of depth. When the background blur, we call it a shallow of depth. If you want to take such a photo, you have to change your lens. With the lens you have, I will tell you a personal trick. Okay, if you ask me in person, you know how to ask me. I can still tell you on your kit lens. Usually, you might have bought an 1855 lens. You might have bought a bridge. Even with a bridge, how to take that shallow depth photos. If I take a picture of my girlfriend, it is turning out like everything is visible in the scene. All the stems and everything, all the trees, plants in the background, they are not turning really beautiful. It's not coming like that. For that, you actually have to change your lens with a less aperture. As I said, you have to go for a lens something like a less aperture than 2.8, 2.8, 1.8, 1.4, 1.2 also. But that is not really required. You can find some lenses like that, but with your camera also you can give it a try. Just ping me for that, how to take shallow depth photos. If you have any questions, you can ping me. You can ping your questions to me, I can answer here. Otherwise, we have another 6 minutes where you can close the session for the day. You can ask me any question related to the photography. The floor is open. Meanwhile, I can explain this. So if you look at this, someone has taken a picture with 32. That means the smallest hole, smallest aperture. As I said, it is inversely proportional. So the man, the hill behind their sun, it's all in the picture. Now we want the background to be blurred. Then you have to go aperture 1.4. Does your lens has the capability that? So my lens, which I've shown you, my travel lens, which costs about some 40,000 rupees, Indian rupees. Yeah, no, it cannot. The maximum aperture in this is 3.5. That means something will be visible. Something is not totally blurred. So the same case with ISO. If you want, you will be introducing ISO in your picture. Noise in your picture. So less ISO, more quality, more ISO, less quality of the picture. But whenever depends upon the natural level light availability and all, you may have to play around with ISO. And the same with shutter speed. If you increase the shutter speed, it is also reversely proportional, except ISO, other two are reversely proportional. So if you increase the shutter speed, you see like the blurry image. I mean, you see a sharp image. 1,000th of a second you got a sharp image. Half a second you got a blurry image. But we will also use this for a stationary object to let the more light in. So best settings in mobile. So there are two things in mobile you can do. Mobile, you can use your pro mode. Pro mode is like again a composition of these three. But if you use the automatic mode, your camera is deciding it. You cannot do anything. But what I suggest you, do not use flash. It is as simple as that. If you want to take good pictures on with the abundant natural light, do not use flash. Even if it is a night scene, use other lights, because your flash is very sharp, because it is being thrown from a single point. So for this example, I can say it is better to use a tube light than a LED bulb. So a tube light is wide, so it will not cast shadows. So when you use the flash, it will cast a lot of shadows, which will make it look. I can just simply Google it for you how it works. Flash photography. So it is as simple as that. So you can also Google, but I can tell you the difference. I can tell you what happens, what goes wrong. So this is what happens. Like if you want to take a photo, you have to create the right composition. So I can say bad flash photography, then I might get the right picture. So look at this. You might come across pictures like this, or something like this. So when you have the picture something like this, you feel like, I mean, it's really bad. Okay, just give me a minute. So just give me short time exposure. 1 second. Hello. Yeah, Nisha. नहीं एक्चुअली मैं मिडिल ऑफ सेशन में हूँ मैं आई थॉट लाइक यू कॉल मी फॉर दैट इटसेल्फ ओके देन I'll give you a call in 5 minutes my session is going to over okay yeah thank you yeah so there is another question yeah thank you Srinivas Naidu Anna thank you so much for that and there is a question short time exposure is a bit understood uh-oh I'm not able to read my comment just give me a minute yeah short time exposure is a bit understood expecting practical example of long exposure as well long exposures is what I have shown you I have taken pictures in the night time so you can go up to 1/30th of a second and long exposure on any SLR usually your mobile phones are also these days capable of going up to 15 seconds and your SLR can go up to 30 seconds that means if you are taking a picture on a day on a standard day if you're taking a picture at 1/100th of a second and you're taking a picture at 100th of a second that means you're increasing the exposure by 100 times you're letting it capture for 100 times and if you are keeping it 30 seconds 15 seconds that means uh, you're letting the sensor open for 15 seconds that is almost like 300 times what you do it in a daytime because the light is less if you compare the sunlight and the moonlight it is 1,000 times different so if you want to take the same shot in sunlight and the moonlight you have to increase your settings by 1,000 times so for that you have to increase any of this you can increase aperture you can increase ISO you can increase the length of shutter speed as I said whenever I say shutter speed and aperture they are always inversely proportional yeah so these are the best things you can say so maybe coming to the mobile most of the things are controlled by mobile you can compose the best shot using golden rule or taking it in the right time or with the light exposure when you have that abundant and natural light you can play around those things and you can get better pictures if you want to really try your hands on your mobiles manual capability yes mobiles also really do wonderful I have recently got a shot from Sujay one of my colleague so he shot a picture usually people think you really have to go to Himalayas to see this what is this what we say Milky Way but yeah Milky Way is very tough to capture I understand okay not here it seems it must be in the other chart anyway so he has taken a good picture and he has sent me so whenever you're taking a picture so guys I'm telling you you take a picture send it to me okay you can always reach out to me on my number I'll just drop in my number here it is 9951120121 is my tags number you can reach out to me on this number at any point of time and you send me that picture and ask me what went wrong what you can do better then I can suggest you I mean what you can do better in that so with that it is 7 p.m. tonight with that I still see 8 people watching including me it is 9 so maybe we can close the session for the day if you have any questions please drop it on my WhatsApp if you have taken pictures and you can ask me like what went wrong what can be done to do better drop me a note I can take care of it with that we'll be signing off for the day thank you all for joining tonight see you bye bye so I'm a little packed here in my work area okay maybe here I'll yeah so thank you all guys see you for the day and signing off for tonight we'll catch up with some other good session good night bye bye